My name is Tach. I'd hoped to write a journal of my experiences, and now it looks like I'm going to get my wish. I get to write. For someone. Not for me. But for my future self. Or my friends. Or my children. I don't see myself having kids. But you never know. So, in truth, I haven't a clue of why I'm writing. Maybe I'm afraid. Afraid of death. My life isn't great. But I've had more action in the last 10 years than in the first 70 years of my life. But to get to the point, I won't share everything to the future, but I won't lie. I will not lie. The future will only hear truth from me. But I will choose how much truth I wish to share. For the last 10 years I've been a slave. Slave to the drow, dark elves, whatever you wish to call them. But I was their slave. When it comes to stories you might have heard regarding these creatures, I can assure you they're true. Everything I've read about drow is true. Except one absurd story, where a drow turned good and saved hundreds of lives. I've yet to see that story repeated in real life. But in the end I escaped, with the aid of a young elf thing named Zona. I say thing because, well, I'll explain later. It's a bit complicated. So I was with this elf in the ruins of a dwarf city called Ilkazar. The place was lit with a blue lichen that gave off a soft light. Never seen anything like it, but I couldn't chance the time to stick around and investigate. The tavern was simple. The ale was just as plain. I don't drink very often, but I was confused yesterday morning, so I gave in to the temptation. The room was empty, except me, Zona, and a strange, bug-like humanoid in the far corner. I was only halfway finished the small mug when a man entered the place. He had a confident air about him, and he sat down across from me and greeted me right out. I had been focused on a small trinket my elven friend was making, or at least attempting to make. I might not be very good at jewelry, but even I know the structure of such a delicate object couldn't endure as much force as she was putting on it. Then this man entered with such confidence. I almost flinched, expecting some blow. It was Archimedes that remembered that this wasn't the culture I was used to. Archimedes is my oldest and only friend. He's annoying and talks too much. But he's smart, and he's company. Archimedes is my raven, and as I said, he talks too much. The black raven hopped down off my shoulder and properly greeted the man. It was during their brief conversation that I began to understand the workings of this stranger's mind. He was startled, but pleasantly so, when Archimedes began to speak. Then he accepted insults from the bird, much to my embarrassment. I don't know where he learned such things. But I realized the man was insane. Mentally broke. His mind probably told him that the room was a palace and Archimedes was a statue of pure gold. Nothing added up in his head, except business. He told us frankly he was tracking down a killer named Andrew Warbler, and he was being paid to do so. He invited all in the room to join him, and he would give us some profit if we helped him track down this Andrew Warbler. He even invited the bug creature in the corner. Strange thing. It had 4 arms, 2 legs, very insect-like, but yet intelligent. Obviously more than the bounty hunter. But he is almost incapable of communicating, as we soon realized. That is, communicating verbally. The bounty hunter decided to inspect this creature close up, and the bug managed to non-verbally communicate that no one should touch him. Not that hard when you're a 6-foot-tall, scary thing. But I shouldn't judge. So we struck an agreement, as the bounty hunter fed a rat's tail he had just happened to have in his pocket to Archimedes. That's disgusting. We would help the bounty if he would get us out of the Underdark. He said he could. That was my only goal. If he shared the profit with us, that was great. But I didn't want to stay under the surface any longer. To which Archimedes located this Andrew Warbler, and we tracked him down. A brief little fight, if it's worth that much, skirmish ensued, in which Warbler was killed and his head was taken by this bounty hunter. My true proof that he is indeed insane is that when he saw Archimedes on a building, he attempted to reunite me and my friend. This involved him trying to throw me onto the house. Not a successful endeavor. Cake crumbs, my back still hurts just thinking about it. Oh. After the action, we collected our stuff and the madman led us to the fresh outdoor air. To add to my proof that he is indeed completely insane, the moment we came topside, he took the head from his enemy, lifted it to the sky, and declared that it was a good day. I have my doubts. And this is where my journal begins, because I finally have paper to write it. Now my feelings on these individuals. The Bugman is mute, and therefore will not be easy to understand. His personality will be alien to me. I won't be able to predict his actions, though I have reason to believe that he is a good warrior. The madman is just that. Mad. I will resent the urge to use him. My ancestors would have done nothing less. They would have used the madness as a weapon. Not one easy to control, but one that will accomplish the job the same way every time. Complete victory. Utter and total defeat. Nothing is more dangerous than a madman with a purpose or a mission. But Archimedes likes him, and so, in a sense, I do. Once again, he appears to be a very proficient fighter. Likewise with the bug. His sword is put to good use. The elf is another story. I have my doubts that she is really an elf. Her skin is too much of an orange complexion. And what would an elf be doing among the drow? She wasn't a slave. No, her clothes and her abilities speak otherwise. But then, I was a slave too. And my abilities aren't normal for a slave. I wish I could understand and decide what she is. As for her capabilities, she has a magic to her. Not one I'm familiar with, but still a magic that could be powerful, even if she is a pretty pathetic jeweler. I have a dream in my head. Not one that I believe in, but it still resides. Us. These 3 other companions, and me. As a team. I know most likely we will separate, but I still strangely hope. For even though they're all strange and mysterious, I get this feeling that I've never before had with anyone else. When we work together, it just feels right. It was like I knew they were there, guarding my back as I was guarding theirs. But the dream is still that happy. And yet, just out of reach.